Already got one viewer. Shout out. Maybe it's
Go.
Steve. Having some in case it's not Steve, we're getting set up here.
We're getting going.
We're getting to going for sure. Momentarily, in a matter of seconds. Do not touch that dial.
Okay, now I just need to check TikTok and make sure.
Oh, to be behind the scenes.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Need the Jeopardy music playing.
Behind the scenes. Oh yeah, we live. All right, we live on TikTok. We live on YouTube. Kev, you can start the show.
Okay. All right. Let's make it official. Welcome in, everyone. It is the start of the NFL season. We are BTB Analytics, and we are back for another in-season episode, breaking down top matchups of the week, breaking down our data, our edges. It's going to be a fun one. This week one slate is packed, you guys. It is going to be a really fun one. We're going to talk about a lot of good matchups here. But again, we are back. We're coming off of 2 years in a row, guys. 55% model hitting 55% against the spread record. 23-24, we were 46-37 last year, 41-33. Again, both good for just over 55% hitting those openers. So we are very much looking forward to another hopefully profitable season. But let's jump in, guys, and we'll talk about some of our model predictions at the end of this video, at the end of this live. So please make sure you're sticking around for that. But let's jump into one of actually the first matchup of the year, frankly, and a big one at that. Cowboys, Eagles, Thursday Night Football this week coming up here. I don't know what to call this, Seth, other than the Micah move in the market.
For real.
So, yeah, no kidding, because this move has basically moved almost 2 points since that news kind of came down, and Micah Parsons is now in the Packers here. But a lot of interesting angles in this one, and I want to get your take on, especially from the data side here, because Dak coming back. Dak only played 8 games last year, right?
Yeah.
They have obviously an all new coaching staff, Philly with a new OC as well. So there's going to be a lot, in my mind, potentially unknown with how this game might go. But given that the market has moved this 2 points and all those changes, what is our data showing, and what do you expect for this game?
Yeah, it's been a pretty big move and a pretty busy, I would say, last couple of weeks. Now, when this market opened, it opened at 7, and we were kind of on the fence because we make this game 7.5. That's kind of our number, which at the 7 number, not as much value, but there was some 6.5s early on, and I think we're all kicking ourselves that we didn't take those. There was basically a day where it was -6.5, -110, and we were kind of on the fence. And I think it had to do with Micah Parsons' then at that time injury, obviously. But here we are now, a couple of weeks past that, and then obviously the trade, and then now this has moved clearly past the 7.5. Our raw model number is 9. I think the market's starting to tip to get there. It's getting to those 8.5s, 9s. I think at this point it's gross, it's ugly, but I know a lot of our DGen warriors, they're going to be opening their books here on Sunday, and I have to say it's ugly. But at the 8.5, 9 numbers, you got to be potentially buying Dallas here. The one thing I want to point out, we can talk a lot about the stats of these teams, who they were last year, but there's a ton of unknown on the Dallas side, and I want to make sure we're acknowledging when we look at a play-by-play stat for a team that was missing, their primary, their I don't know, best player, but their quarterback, right? The team can look very different. This is a team that was throwing the ball a little bit less than average last year, about 3% under average. So do we expect them to potentially pass the ball more with Dak being healthy? The other thing is, when we look at who these team were supposed to be 2 years ago, this is a 9.5 win projected team. We're sitting here today, they're a 7.5 win projected team. So, this thing that can happen is we can see these quote unquote, teams that look like they take step forwards because they took a huge step back, but they might actually be regressing to who on average they've been over the last 3 or 4 years. So I think we like Philly. We agree with the market move up into this point, but I would start to use caution that you can't just blindly bet Philly here, and it's starting to get expensive for me.
Yeah, Steve, I don't know about you. I hope to God it doesn't touch a 9 because I'm not even sure what number I would love Dallas at this point. What about you?
Yeah, a Billy, maybe. I mean, let's kind of get this out the way, right? So you're gonna see these trends out there. Nick Sirianni is 4-0 in season openers, but Dak Prescott is 9-4 against the Eagles. Well, you break that down. Prescott's 8-1 at home against the Eagles. He's 2-3 at Lincoln Financial. And the last time they played was in 2023. So let's not take too much stock in that hype we see going around TikTok and YouTube. But for me, I mean, you mentioned it. Obviously, Micah Parsons is going to be the big deal. Traded to the Packers for Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle, and 2 first-rounders. So the question is, what are they going to do on defense to make up for the Parsons lack of edge rushing? So they got Dante Fowler, 10.5 sacks last year with Washington. They drafted Donovan Ezaraku, who was second in the country in sacks at Boston College. And then on the defensive coordinator end, you got Matt Eberflus coming in, replacing Mike Zimmer. So you hope to God, if you're a Cowboys fan, that they can do something to improve that defense, because they're going to need it. Dallas was tied dead last in defensive EPA for rush. So they were very, very, very horrible at stopping the run, Dallas was. And oh, by the way, Philly was number 1 in run rate over expected and the 4th overall, in EPA per rush. So you can see how the game script here can get really out of hand really quickly, in this sort of matchup here. And so we talked about this, and we're going to wait a few games. But if you guys are new to us, we talk about this concept of pass funnels and run funnels, and it's amazing for player prop bets. Cowboys were a bona fide run funnel team. You can pretty much, I mean, let's not get crazy. I don't sound too degenerate, but you can find a lot of value on running back player props against the Cowboys. If they don't fix that, you might have it again this year. And so the thing I'm concerned about is, what is Dallas going to do defensively? Yes, Dak Prescott is going to be a better boom to their offense. But if they load the box here and they try to stop Saquon and Co from running, they go single high safety, you're leaving AJB, you're leaving Devontae Smith 1-on-1, which is going to be a problem that Trayvon Diggs doesn't play. Right now, he has a 75 to 80% chance, which he told reporters, to suit up for week 1. So I don't know what that actually looks like. But if he's not suiting up or he's hobbled, that is definitely going to be a problem. And then, looking at going back to the Cowboys offensively, we know they got George Pickens, we know they got Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, and Brian Schottenheimer is now the head coach after 2 years as an offensive coordinator. So I don't expect the play calling from the offense to change that much. But again, it's the defense, specifically the run defense, that concerns me, because this Philly team is built to beat this Cowboys team. They're exploiting their weakness year in and year out, day in and day out.
Yeah. No, you make a good point too, because if they do decide to stack the box against Philly, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith have 2 of the highest success rates against man coverage in the league last year, and that just spells bad news, right? So it'll be fascinating to see what they can do. Frankly, I just don't think the addition of Kenny Clark, kind of in and of itself, is going to be the difference maker here. And to the earlier point we mentioned, like, the market is kind of agreeing with at least some of the undertones there of that potential narrative.
I will say this, though, to be the party pooper here. When we look at the quarterback play, which we know is one of the most important things to look at here, in the last 10 starts, respectively, so these 10 starts came last season for Hurts. He was 12th in EPA added per game, but Dak was 17th. So now those 10 games, came across, 2 seasons. But then when we look at career EPA added per play, Hurts is 14th in his career. Dak is 6th. So don't be fooled that there is a possibility where you all the things you said can happen. But what if Dallas is also able to have success offensively? This could look more like a shootout. This can look more like a 1-possession game. And I agree the market has moved through that 6.5, that 7 to the 8, but all the 8.5s have been bought. So, the market is kind of telling us what we think that the ceiling is. I'm just telling the degens out there, because we know that they're going to be betting into a really tough market, and you miss the 6.5s and 7s and 8s. So when you see a 9 on Sunday, I'm painting the case. It's not an open and shut case in my mind.
No, that's totally fair. And
can
last
I
thing
ask
I
a
was
question though?
Go, Steve.
Steph, was that those quarterback stats? Was that total EPA per play or EPA pass?
Those are all plays that they were associated with. I can't remember if I coded by pass. I think it's a combination of pass and run.
Yeah, my only thought to that is, going back to that narrative that, the Jalen Hurts is suspected as a passer, right? he didn't need to pass. He didn't have to. You don't have to pass when your run rate over expected and your run efficiency is so damn high. And so, to your point though, Seth, if they put Philly in a position where they do need to put the game on Jalen Hurts' back, yes, you absolutely can have a different game script here. And we're not saying it's not alt season, I guess is what we're saying. But just stay caution. Sorry.
Yeah. I think the answer is it is both pass and run because Allen is number one. And he runs the shit out of the ball too. So I do believe it is capturing it. I agree. They're different ways. I'm just what I'm more highlighting is Dak is a good quarterback. Is it Dallas's year? All these things. I'm just saying that you go from a top tier quarterback, a top 10 quarterback to bottom tier play at quarterback last year, and then all of a sudden you get him back. You can see big leaps in an offense.
Sure.
That seemingly don't seem very probable now, but come, a week from today, we go, oh, well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. And the last thing I was going to add, despite the fact that the spread has moved 2 points, the total has effectively been untouched. So for what that's worth, right? Thursday night football, going to be a good one. Cowboys and Eagles. All right, let's move on from Thursday night to Friday night football in Brazil, right? Something weird like that. I think it's Brazil. Kansas City versus the LA Chargers. Another divisional matchup here. The LA Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh at the helm last year, an 11-win team, like a really good football team last year, right? So exceeded expectations by kind of all accounts, as far as I'm concerned, at least. This was the Chargers. They were kind of a defensive minded team. Like they were number 4 in defensive success rate and echo rate allowed. And that was kind of the big surprise, at least in my mind, because you have Herbert at the helm, a lot of weapons with Ladd McConkey kind of coming out of nowhere, right? Having a huge rookie season. But Steve, the big difference between these two teams last year was that offensive success rate. KC, we know Mahomes and he's inevitable and all this type of stuff. Number 4 success rate for KC, 29th for the LA Chargers. So again, this is one we'll talk about a little more in depth when we get to the model plays. This is one that's on our card officially. The number that we got cannot be had anymore. But that all being said, what is your expectation for what's going to happen in Sao Paulo?
I mean, listen, death, taxes, and Chiefs beating up on little brother LA Chargers. Chiefs has won 7 straight against the Chargers. We know this is just a matchup that no matter how much Chargers fans want to believe, they just can't overcome that barrier. But on the LA side here, we got Najee Harris going to, making his debut for the Bolts here. Game time decision. He has been cleared for contact. He has looked good all week. He's coming off that 4th of July injury with the fireworks, which, for the love of God, NFL players, put the fireworks down, man. First, it was Najee. We had Jason Pierre-Paul. Just put him down, man. It's not worth it. We also got Quentin Johnson out of protocol. He's been cleared for contact. He's looking like he's going to be ready to suit up for week 1, along with Keenan Allen coming back to LA from my beloved Chicago Bears. Already voted captain, so he has that chemistry with Herbert. On the Chiefs side, remember, Rashee Rice is suspended for the first 6 games for that personal conduct violation, the car crash, and Hollywood Brown. He missed most of 2024 with that shoulder injury. He's at no preseason snaps. Andy Reid has come out and said he's not really concerned about him. He's a veteran. He can kind of fit back into that offense. We will see. What I foresee happen, we'll talk about the actual spread pick, but I think I have something here where it's going to be my off the numbers pick for the total. Harbaugh has already said it first. It's 3 yards and a cloud of dust. LA is going to run the damn ball. They're going to feed it to Najee. They're going to feed it to Marion Hampton, the number 1 draft pick, the first round draft pick, and they're going to try to do play action off of that. We also have seen this with the lack of Hollywood Brown sort of chemistry, if you will, and with Rashee Rice being gone. Yes, they still have Xavier Worthy, but are they going to be able to tear the top off these defenses? You've heard the narrative for the last 2 years. The league has adjusted to Kansas City. Back when they had Tyreek, it was too high safety, really kind of contain them. Are they going to be able to get past that second level and have explosives this year? So that being said, I'll save my pick for later, but that's kind of the game state that I see.
Okay, so Seth, let's just maybe talk about this one, since again it's on the model plays for week 1 here. So we got a 2.5 minus 110, cannot be had anymore, has moved to the 3. So what do you? I mean, from where this opened, and it's kind of moved through that key number here. is it, or what is it rather, in your opinion, that has moved it? And what do you think the market is buying, frankly?
Yeah, and I was able to snipe them, and I got a -2.5, -105. So, this is the interesting thing. When you start to break these teams down, and we talked about it all season, Mahomes is inevitable because when you look at the stats, they don't really make sense. And here we are, week one, and we have to kind of make sense of all this. KC was ninth, the ninth best offensive team, but defensively, like you said, the Chargers were eighth. And then when we look at KC defensively last year, they actually struggled. 21st best defense, but LA Chargers were the 13th best offense. Questions I have for Chargers: they're going to run the ball. I agree with you, Steve. They were pass rate under expected of 3% last year, so they were running the ball 3% more than an average team. The question I have this year is that going to be because of choice or because they don't have anyone to throw it to? I don't know that signing Keenan Allen, old man Allen, at this point is actually a big data point for me, and it's a little bit concerning because that to me means they don't have a lot of other options. We know that there's been injuries at the offensive line. Another question. That being said, this is a divisional matchup. I understand it's on a neutral field, but Brazil, that kind of throws a wrench in this. But I think the reality is Kansas City makes sense as a 3-point favorite, and the market looks to be agreeing here. It moved from 2.5 to 3, then to 3.5. All the 3.5s got taken out. And quite frankly, I agree with that. I think this is a divisional matchup. Field goal is very, very probable. I think the plus 3.5s for Chargers, if you can get them, I think is not a bad bet. But obviously, we're on the -2.5. I think this just ends with Mahomes doing what he needs to do to win by a field goal in that classic divisional matchup status. But there's a lot of questions on both sides of the ball, and we're going to get a lot of answers pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and to your point, yeah, Chargers kind of being in that middle ground of tending to run the ball more. KC is basically the antithesis in the most extreme sense, the number 2 pass rate over expected team last year. So probably expect more of the same, right? Why not just give the ball to your best player and let him do some damage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, 2 games in the books: Thursday night, Friday night. Before we get to Sunday, don't forget, guys, make sure you're liking the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think in the comments about these games. If there's any data that you want to hear from what our numbers say, let us know. We're obviously going to be giving out and talking about our model plays at the end of this video again, so stick around for that. More to come. But let's move on to the Sunday slate. Sunday night football, actually, there's a lot. I mean, there's even a good matchup that we're not even talking about, the Lions and Packers today, just because that's how kind of packed I think the week 1 slate is, frankly. But
yeah,
let's move to Sunday night football. Let's talk about the Ravens and the Bills. Seth, interesting one as far as market movement goes, because this has been kind of flipped, right? This open Bills -1, both at circa and penny, and now it's flipped, and now it's a +1.5 as of today, even. So from what our numbers have, what we make it, and what is your assessment of why this is flipped and the expectation going into this one?
Yeah, I can't speak for the market on this one. We make this game a pick 'em, and it makes a ton of sense. You start looking at the numbers, you start looking at the model. These teams are just so evenly matched. It's really difficult to understand where the edge is. These teams are both projected to win 11.5 games. So these are both top dogs. That playoff game last year, obviously the Bills kind of took the the win there, and it was a close game, and there was some mental errors on the Baltimore side. So to me, this is a coin flip game. I think the market is just making some, making their calls, but quite frankly, I don't know where they're getting that alpha. When we look at quarterback play, Josh Allen is just ever so slightly beating out Lamar. We have Allen as the number 1 EPA in the last 10 games, with Lamar at 3rd. And then when we look at the career EPA play, we have Allen at 5th and Lamar at 8th. So these teams are, or at least a quarterback, they're very evenly matched. And then both these teams like to run the ball, and that'll be interesting to see if that's going to be the same case in this 2025 season. Baltimore running about 8% more than an average team, Buffalo running about 3% more than an average team. So to me, this is a grab your popcorn, watch the game. I don't want action because, to be honest, I'm just happy that Lamar or Allen get to win this game, because, man, these guys have just been tormented by the fact that they have to play each other, but then they always get beat by Mahomes. At least one of these guys is going to win in this game. And I think there's a high chance that one of these teams we see in the AFC Championship game, if not both, and then one of these teams makes it to the Super Bowl. I think these are our number 1 and 2 best teams in our power rating. So I think this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And for what it's worth, the total has come down about 2 points, 1.5, depending on where where you look, but sitting at about 50.5 currently throughout the market here. So yeah, Steve, again, two potent teams, two potent offenses, but yeah, I mean, as far as I think I agree with Steve. I don't know how you feel, or excuse me, I agree with Seth. I'm glad there's no action on this one, because this is one of the games where I'm just glad I'm a fan. I get to I get to watch it. But
Yeah,
what do you think? Do you see any angles? Do you see any edges as far as this matchup goes?
I'm not strong enough to bet on them. No, I mean, I agree with you guys. I'm glad we just get to watch this as a fan here. I mean, this is obviously a replay of the recent classic we got last year in the playoffs with the drop heard around the world from Mark Andrews. But looking at this, I mean, what I'm looking at is on the Bills side. The Bills are starting to build this thing like the 03 Detroit Pistons or the Aaron Rodgers-led Packers, where you don't really have a star per se in that receiver group, right? They got Joshua Palmer coming in this year, Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, rounding out with Keon Coleman, who's their sort of deep ball threat, and then Khalil Shakir, who's their 2024 target leader. And then, of course, you got Dalton Kincaid, who was the number 2 receiver in that group at the tight end position. But for me, it's going to come down to, what are these trenches going to do for the Bills side, and how are the Bills going to respond to the rushing attack for Baltimore here? So with Bills, they have all 5 back from the offensive line from last year. They allowed the fewest sacks in 2024. Of course, it helps that Josh Allen is the best running back in the league, if you ask Bills fans, because he can run the damn ball. He can get the touchdowns, obviously. But the Ravens had the second most sacks, right, defensively. And so my question here is, can Buffalo on the defensive end, can they stop the rushing game between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson without overcommitting? Again, Derrick Henry had the 4th most rushing attempts against stacked boxes. You almost have to stack the box to be able to stop them. But again, it comes down to what can those corners do? DeAndre Hopkins, the new Ravens receiver, I'm just glad he's going to be on a winning team for once in his career and not on a kind of a shitty team. Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, can they make them pay on the outside, and can Lamar find them? And so for me, there's really nothing here that screams obvious angle or obvious edge. I know we had this conversation, I think it was last year, or where was it, where there was like a 3 for some reason. It's like, at some point, if it gets to 3.5, you just have to take the points no matter who it is. I can't see a way this matchup gets to 3 on either side. But if there was some miracle, barring like an injury to a key player, that's the only way I would touch this game. But right now, I'm just watching. Get my popcorn ready.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, frankly, let's hope it's not a crazy movement like that, because that means something bad probably happened. Because we're already sitting here midway through the week,
There's no way this will get to 3.5. I don't even think it'll get to 3 in any direction. I don't know. I'm curious to see, do the Bills try to throw it a little bit differently or more? Like, they had a really young wide receiver room, and I'm wondering, like, what will that look like? Or will they kind of just try to, like, if you just basically like, look, we're good enough. If we just play the Chiefs 10 times, we should at least beat them once. So we'll just run it back until we beat them.
Yeah, I mean, to Steve's point, they didn't do a ton, splash wise as far on the receiver room. They brought back James Cook on a new contract, so they have some faith in what has been, basically. So I think they're just trying to run it back.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
And you kind of mentioned it earlier too, Steve. Both of these quarterbacks, Allen and Mahomes, Allen and Jackson, are superior in sack avoidance too. Like, the offensive line gave up the least amount of sacks for Baltimore, but that's because some of that's on the quarterback's scramble ability and ability to get out of trouble, so to speak. So
sack rate is a huge component of our model. We find it really predictive, and you're right. It's kind of a team stat. It's an O-line stat, but it's definitely a quarterback stat.
Yeah. So it should be a freaking phenomenal nightcap to end the Sunday slate. So looking forward to this one as well. Again, guys, before we move off to the last matchup and get into our model plays, we are doing this show every single week. Going to be live Tuesday on YouTube, breaking down the big matchups, breaking down our data. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel so you know when we go live. As the season progresses, we've kind of teased it here a little bit. We'll be talking about different angles like run funnels, pass funnels, and giving you guys some actionable data. So hopefully that you can make smarter, more profitable bets during the season. And if you are so inclined, like I said, 55% guys against the spread the last 2 seasons. We are very excited and looking forward to much of the same this season. Hoping for another profitable season. If you want to join us, check out our season packages at btbanalytics.com. All right. Sunday night in
analytics.com. Don't forget that dash.
Don't forget the damn dash. Just look at the screen up top. Shout out. Misspoke. All right, let's move on though. Monday Night Football, and I got to start with you, Steve, as the resident Bears expert. But similar to the Ravens and Bills, okay, talking about Vikings and Bears here. This is another flipper. This opened at Bears 1.5 and is now +1 or +1.5, depending on where you look. So a whole new regime, Steve, for the Bears, right? With Ben Johnson coming in, a lot of hype surrounding that whole situation. The Vikings, though, you could argue have a lot of newness as well. Obviously, with J.J. McCarthy coming in, he's for all intents and purposes, a rookie quarterback, at least as far as how we treat him in the data, right? So, yeah, given the fact that this is flipped and given the fact that you're the Bears expert here, give us your unbiased, if that's possible, your unbiased take on this one.
Yeah, Bears -42.5. Book it right now, alt season. Yeah. I mean, listen, this is obviously going to be a great matchup here. And as a Bears fan, I'll try to keep this as objective as possible. But let's just look at the facts, right? I mean, first and foremost, Ben Johnson coming over as the new head coach. That's going to breathe life into this. And we've already seen it in the preseason. The biggest issue with Caleb Williams was holding on to the ball too long, not making smart decisions in the pocket, and getting sacked. The Bears had the highest sack rate allowed out of any team in the NFL last year. So what do? You do two things. One, you overhaul the offensive line. We got Joe Thuney, we got Drew Dahlman, we got Jonah Jackson coming in from guard, center guard to help out with potentially Braxton Miller on the blind side there. So strengthen that offensive line, give Caleb some time, and then two, scheme around them. We saw this during the preseason. A ton of play action. We saw the RPOs. We saw just Caleb designing moves to move the pocket, put stress on the defense, create angles, all things to help him out and get the ball quicker. That being said, we saw what this offense could do. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. In the receiving room, obviously, we've got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze from the draft class. We got Colston Loveland this year as that safety blanket to help with Cole Kmet. So, I mean, the Bears are stacked with weapons. It's just gonna come down to execution. Now, on the bad side here, right? You talk about the offensive line, he didn't do their job. The Vikings defensive line is pretty damn good there. You can see on the stat here, 4th in defensive EPA, 4th in defensive success rate. That O-line can absolutely cause havoc. And so to me, that's where this game is going to come down to. As much as we're going to talk about these sophomore/rookie quarterbacks and J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams, it's going to come down to the defense because you're right. J.J. has no real NFL experience, and the Monsters of the Midway is not a great place to start your first one. Tremaine Edmonds' whole job is going to be to make his life a living hell. You got Jalen Johnson back in the secondary along with Jaquan Brisker. Like, this team is going to be good. And the reason Bears had success, the little that they did last year, was because of defensive end. They were really, really, really poor 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they just steadily got a little bit better and better. Expect this team to jump on both sides of the ball, and I'm really excited to see what we can do.
Well, I love when fans. I'm including myself in this, but when they say we're gonna do this.
Yeah, like I'm on the team.
Like you're.
Come on, you don't see. Yeah, I mean, okay. Wait, let me say something real quick. Don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to Steve, the subjective Bears fan. Listen to the data. Seth, am I lying? First time that we are not taking action against the Bears and the win total on the under in our entire organizational existence. That's right. True. The first time ever, BTB Analytics is not fading the Bears win total. What does that say?
That is true. That is 100% true. And I have good news. You were jokingly talking about alt season. I have real concerns here with what we're going to get out of the Vikings. I'm not ringing any alarms or any bells yet, but I want to kind of point into this direction and put some data together because these are pretty concerning things if I'm a Vikings fan. Sam Darnold last year has a career EPA of -1 points added per game. In the last 10 games, he had a positive 5.3 points added per game. Sam Darnold, that's a pretty big improvement in the last 10 games versus his overall career. Guess what? Pass rate over expected for Minnesota. With the league running a lot more than average last year, this was a team of, I think it's a list of 5 teams that actually had a positive pass rate over expected, where they were throwing the ball 3% more than an average team. So you take all of that. Go ahead,
Seth, I just want to add some nuance to that. When you say 3% more, how we have it in the data, they were the number 3 ranked team in pass rate over expected, to put it into more context.
The league was running way more than average last year. So this is like an all-time average team, not average of the league last year. So it's a good point. So the larger point is exactly that, Kevin. They threw the hell out of the ball last year, and they did it really well. Sam Darnold did it really well, not only in the league, but then for himself. So then you put in a true rookie quarterback, like you said, Steve. Here, the Chicago Bears were about average in our database last year, and they've made some improvements. But let's just say they play average. Do we really believe we're going to get that out of a rookie in his very first game? Oh, wait, there's more. Addison, who was a huge part of that passing attack, is out in this game. He's suspended. So I'm really, really concerned here with a success rate around 50% of their plays for the Vikings. And we saw how they kind of petered out at the end of the season. What are you going to get here? This is a very low spread, but I am not going to be surprised if the Bears can win this by 2 touchdowns. Now, we have a ton of unknown for who Caleb can be. And just like why we faded them last year, it was all hype and we didn't have any of the data. We have a little bit of data on Caleb, but I think we don't exactly know that this is going to be a slam dunk. But I have a lot of concerns on just the assumption you're going to be able to get what you need out of rookie JJ McCarthy to play as well as the Vikings played last year. And so I think some alts are potentially on the table here. If you believe that the stars are going to line and you're going to get better than average, or at least better than his average quarterback play on the Bears, then alt season does feel on the table. A -6.5 doesn't seem crazy to me.
Keep it together, Steve. Keep it together.
Listen, all I'm going to say is, listen, if you guys are new here, we're all about data-driven decisions, trying to make smarter bets, sharper bets. And so you heard it here first. Approach this game with logic, bet the house, refinance the mortgage, take everything you can out, put it all on all season Bears.
Yeah. The only problem is 4th best defense in Minnesota. We know that they're going to be good. We know Florida's got them right. And what if the whole dream comes crumbling down in the first game and Caleb isn't improved? He's just as bad, or he's as bad as what we're seeing in the media and in the preseason, and that house is on fire. And then alt the other way. I almost like -6.5 Bears or Minnesota here. I really can see that one of these quarterbacks could struggle insanely. We also could see a game where they both are dog shit.
Yeah. I mean, it'll only be 1 week, right? But we said it earlier, a game where you're going to learn a lot, very quickly about both teams, frankly, who they could potentially be. And don't discount the Adam Thielen addition back to the Vikings, though.
It's very discounted. That is, these old
reliable, baby. Reliable. Chain mover.
Man, no heartstrings to pull. No love for Keenan coming back to his team as a captain. No life for Adam.
Same story every time. These big names at the end of their career, wide receivers, they don't do anything. It's the Julio Jones signing. Oh my gosh. Also, you said the Adam Thielen signing does nothing for me. Okay. Under 9.5 all day.
That is totally fair. And so one of our comments here says, crazy, wild that Caleb wants to have 70% completion pass, which in and of itself, yes, but that's actually quite gettable, because if you think about the Ben Johnson offense last year and Jared Goff, he had one of the lowest average depth of targets across the league. So a lot of short passes, a lot of screen passes, like that's not that crazy of a thing to say, but the way go ahead, Steve.
No, can I just add to that real quick? So the team with the highest completion percentage last year at 72.41% was the Detroit Lions. Where did Ben Johnson come from?
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible. That's all I'm saying.
It is possible, but when you juxtapose what he was last year, I think that's
there goes Hayden Astheth again. Yeah, let's have a feel-good movement.
You said tell the people, listen to the data. 40% offensive success rate of Chicago. I don't give a shit what your passer completing is. You need to give me at 47% success. I mean, come on, you're 28th in success rate. Like those passes got to go somewhere, and they got to get first downs, or they got to get some pretty good EPA. Like that's what he should be worrying about. Moving the ball forward.
28th.
Well, you were 28th. You're 0 right now. You're
we'll see.
For first and 31st.
Let's go. All right, gonna be should be a fun Monday night game though to wrap up the week one slate. Like I said, lot to be learned. Lots to be learned from this matchup here. So, all right, we got four games in the books, guys. before we go to our next segment and then talk about our model predictions, again, guys, for those watching, appreciate you. Don't forget to like the video, please. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Will we be going live weekly, normally on Tuesdays, barring any weird one-off technical difficulties. But so make sure you have those notifications on for when we go live, so you can get our angles, get the data, get our model predictions in as close to real time as humanly possible. All right, boys, we're going to bring it back. Before we get to the model prediction plays, let's talk about something that we did last year. We're going to do it again for this whole full season, calling it off the numbers here. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically the three of us get to take our best bet, if you will, of the week. It could be against a spread, could be a main market, a derivative, a prop, even who knows. But friendly competition amongst the three of us, and we'll just kind of see how things shake out. We can base it on data, narratives, whatever it is, but with friendly competition. And then at the end of the season, there will be hopefully one winner, and then more importantly, one loser, who we still need to crowdsource and figure out the final punishment for what it should be. But last year, we all actually finished in the NFL. We all actually finished 7-6. So it wasn't. We were all kind of generally mediocre, frankly.
That beat the Bigs at 7
across the board.
13.
Yeah, it depends on the odds that we got, because I know
Sure.
a couple of us got
53.8
and whatnot. Yeah, for sure. So, all right, week one off the numbers. I'll kick it off. I'm going to go with the Saints and Cardinals under 43.5 here, -110. We make the number 43, and just based off that, we don't actually show any edge on it, technically speaking. But this one to me is basically twofold. Number one, shitty quarterback, Spencer Rattler. Number two, much improved defense in the Arizona Cardinals, at least theoretically on paper. Arizona is also a run-first team. I like to run the ball. I know they're going to try to establish some connection with Harrison and whatnot, but this is a team who's going to run the ball first with James Conner. I just have very little confidence that Kellen Moore and company with New Orleans, and they took a long time to make this decision, guys, and granting Spencer Rattler the winning job, which in my opinion does not instill a whole ton of confidence in this one. So I like Arizona's moves in the offseason. They were already a pretty formidable defense in some respects last year as well, but a bunch of new additions. So I just like what they're doing on paper. And this is actually, if you look at the total from what the market has done, it hasn't actually moved a ton. It's technically open at 42.5, really. So if you want to get maybe cute about it, you could say you're potentially buying at the top here, but I just am struggling to see how the Saints are going to score 17, let alone 20 points. So under 43.5, Card Saints, that's where I'm at for off the numbers week one. Seth, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going analytical for us. We have to do some tricky stuff with quarterback data, because the quarterbacks that have few starts, they have really small sample sizes. And so if we use all of Bo Nix's data, it loves the hell out of Denver Broncos week one. It liked it at -7.5. It still likes it at -8. So give me -8 Denver Broncos. The problem is we're forced to kind of not necessarily just go with all the small sample size edges we get, because sometimes they're very wrong. And so that's why it's not a play officially for us. But for me, I'm going to trust the small sample size and Bo Nix, and taking on a rookie quarterback in the first game, Denver -8.
Okay,
right,
not bad. Steve, take us home on this one. What do you got?
Yeah. I'm gonna take a total as well. I'm going to take the under Chiefs Chargers 45.5 here. Talked about it a little bit during our Chiefs Chargers segment for our model play, but Jim Harbaugh is in love with the run. He's already said it in his media days. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They are going to pound that interior line, really try to set up the play action. But Chiefs defense, as we have mentioned earlier, it can be a little bit susceptible, but we'll see how they look there. But I'm expecting a slow-paced game. Game's going to be in Brazil on a neutral site. We'll see what the field conditions are. If you guys remember back when it was Eagles and Packers played in Brazil, there was a lot of concern about the field conditions, players slipping a lot. And so how does that play into it? Did they fix that? Time would tell. But my more so thesis is you're going to have the Chiefs without two of their speed threats to really kind of open the field. You're going to have a lot sort of a dink and dunk and, short yardage thing. Chargers going to be running the clock out by running the ball. It all plays towards the under, especially when we talk about the Chargers defense. So give me under 45.5 -108 on FanDuel.
Okay. Godspeed to us all, but mostly me. So, all right, we'll see how it goes. We'll be, like I said, we'll be tracking this all season long, having some fun with it. So hopefully you guys play along with us. So, all right, last but not least, guys, you know what time it is. Yes, if I can't talk it right, we can at least type it out right. btb-analytics.com is where you can get all of our plays, all of our packages, still available for you. Use code BTB10 to get 10% off our season package. You'll get access not only to all of our NFL plays, which again are hitting at 55% last 2 years, but also our college football plays as well. All right, Seth, let's talk about it. So, model plays for week 1. We have 4 officially. Some good line movement, closing line value for us in this one already. So let's talk about it. What do we got here?
Yeah, big moves. We've been in on pretty much all the right sides of these. So we're on Bucks -1.5, Jags -2.5, Chiefs -2.5, Bengals -5.5. And I think Bengals right now is the only one that is available in the market. I wouldn't go crazy on the Bucks, but we do see some value until it gets to the 3. But Chiefs and Jags has now moved through the 3 or past the 3 in the Jags game, so no more value there. But I'm excited for week 1. Bengals, I think we've literally been on them for the last 2 seasons in their week openers, and we kind of always get burned by them. So we'll see. I think that's an enigma to me, but I think we've been on the right side of these divisional games for the most part. So we'll see how it ends up closing.
Yeah. I don't know what ESPN bet is doing, but they're hanging a 4.5 right now for the Bengals at -110.
Okay, I might have to go snag.
I did you guys get 105 or 110 for Bengals? Do you remember?
110 is what I have.
Yeah.
But I got an MGM, so I can cash out for full exit.
Okay. Yeah. And even DraftKings is at 108 for 5.5. But yeah, ESPN bet. When did that change today? What the hell are they doing?
I don't think it ever saw 4. So this is them just acting a
fool. It changed today, it looks like, actually, to the 4.5. So should be fascinating, maybe. Okay, yeah, Steve. So we got 4 plays on the card. Yeah, again, I don't Seth, or maybe Seth. Do you remember how week 1 historically has shaped up for us in the NFL? Generally pretty favorable.
Generally pretty favorable.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
We've never lost a week 1. I don't want to say this. I'm knocking on every piece of wood that's in front of me. It ends up being one of our sharpest weeks, but we win because of the aggregate of our bets. How do we know we have an edge? CLV. That's what you need to hang your hat on 1 week, week in and week out and over the season, which is why we encourage people to sign up now. Because if we do week one, that's where a bulk of our alpha can come from for the rest of the season. If we don't, maybe it comes in other weeks. But yeah, it's usually a very good week for us.
Yeah, makes sense. And we already started off profitable in college football, going 3-2 there. So hoping for a similar outcome in the NFL as well. But all right. I'm excited, boys. I don't know about you. Yeah, it's good. It's finally here. It's going to be one of the better weekends because you got a full slate of college as well as NFL week 1. So very excited. Appreciate everyone here tuning in to us. Again, don't forget to hit those notifications and like the video. We'll be going live every single week. Very similar format. So hopefully giving you guys some actionable data, some good takeaways heading into the weekend that is to come. Whew. All right. We hit the mark, baby. Let's go. YouTube, we'll see you later. TikTok, we'll see you later. Until next week, boys. We're out.
Boom.